Assalamu alaikum. So, thank you so much for the Iranian resistance, and most in particular to Mohammed Mohaddessin for this very honorable invitation. It is to me always a tremendous pleasure to be with my dearest Arab friends. I have been the first time with in the Arab world, exactly guests of People's Mujahideen of Iran in Ashraf. I landed first in Amman and then through a complex road journey to Ashraf, and I had I would say a fast course in understanding what was going on, and sometimes this speed of learning is really the crucial issue, because I think that former President George Bush in 2007, long time after the evil was done, I think he finally understood what was going on, and he finally understood that he opened the way for the hidden invasion of Iraq, which is, by the way, the title of the book I published in 2008. And I did understand because I was there. I was there in Ashraf, and I was there in the south of Iraq, and I was there in Kurdistan, and I was there through the whole of Anbar, and I understood it was an invasion. And an invasion, I shall never forget that the first meeting I had with an Iraqi Arab sheikh, he turned to me and he said, "My biggest concern is that wherever the Iranian guards arrive, drugs arrive with them." And this is one of the many things that nobody in the West understands. And this is one of the things I have just published, a work with a colleague of mine, Siegfried Wolf, last week. The importance of the drugs, opium and heroin and so forth, and other drugs in the Iranian strategy to dominate the whole of the Middle East and eventually the whole of the world. And that's something I started to learn exactly with an Iraqi sheikh. And I did learn so much in these times with both Iraqis and with my Iranian guests. Another thing I learned at the time is that Ashraf, it was April 2004, there were literally thousands and thousands of Iraqis there in Ashraf. A lot of them working in the rebuilding of the facilities that have been bombed before, but a lot of others, you could find all sorts of Iraqis from all sorts of perspectives, all wanting to discuss politics and wanting to advance. And Ashraf was the nurturing house of all of these ideas and all of this democratic life. And I think that the Iranian resistance may, and it is already doing the same. And it is very necessary that this is done as soon as possible, because the invasion, I never called it, I'm very sorry, but I never used the expression meddling. But what meddling? It's invasion. It's the Iraqi, it's in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, or in Yemen. What is it? This is the troops of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps with militia that they hire from other countries. That's an invasion. They use militias, but that's an invasion by all words. And they have been doing it for ages. And the West does not want to understand it. I think that Mr. Trump, the big advantage of Mr. Trump, and this was said yesterday, is that he is learning much faster than George Bush. But he did not get there yet. He has to. And you have to help him. And you have to stay together. You have to understand what is fundamental, what is crucial, what is the most important, and what is secondary when you deal ones with the others. And the Arab world, and of course some others, as for instance the Kurds, that you cannot forget about them. You cannot allow them to be manipulated by the Iranian regime, which obviously that's what they want to do with everyone. All of this is tremendously important. And please, dear friends of ours, this is a common struggle because we know they will not stop nowhere. We know, I knew it when I got to Iraq, that they wanted to go to the Mediterranean. It was obvious. They would go to Syria afterwards. It was black and on white for me. And it was also obvious that they want the Gulf. The Gulf is the most important religious sites for the Muslim world. And the Gulf, if they get the whole of the Gulf, is also very important because of the oil and the gas that they can control, especially if they are allied with the Russians. But we have to stay together. We have to work on this very hard. We have to understand that information is crucial. This morning when I got my portable phone, I just made an example. I pressed Google, where most of the news are coming. You know that there are studies showing that most of the people the newspapers are not important anymore. People are just going to the mobile and see what are the news. And what were the first news there? Sputnik, Russia Today, Press TV, as you know, the first Russian Putin propaganda, Press TV, the Iranian regime propaganda. We have to face this. That's why people don't understand. They think that the Iranian forces are fighting against Daesh. That's a big lie. They never did. They created them in the first place. And people have to know that. And you have to work on this front as well. Thank you very much for listening. And please, whenever I can be of any use, I will be here. Thank you.